round them up for judgment, and hang them where the world can see.
All right, well, let's dive straight into the meat and potatoes of some new releases. And funnily enough, the last time that you were on the show, we heard a new Archgoat single. As luck would have it, you're back on this week. There's a brand new Archgoat single. It's called The Dawn to Armageddon. It is taken from the Lightbringer album. That is due out on September the 11th, 2026. Let's hear what it sounds like. Slightly more subdued, I think, than we are used to hearing Archgoat sound like, but I don't know what your thoughts are. I love it. When I heard the first single off this record, it instantly went into the contenders list for the best of 2026. I have now had the privilege of hearing the whole thing, so I can tell you unequivocally, nothing is taking that album out of the top 30.
I love it. I like slow Archgoat. I love the keyboard kick in. This record sounds really fucking good. And I was lamenting their lack of U.S. presence the last time because they have been here in a very long time. And they're coming in November. Ticket has been purchased. So very excited about that.
Oh, that is very cool. Who are they playing with?
It's just them. They're playing with Stress Angel.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget the other band. No one's super big, but it's a venue in Brooklyn. They're playing, I think, the Meadows or the Monarch. I can't even remember. There's two venues right next to each other, but I think they're playing the Meadows. But ticket has been purchased. Very excited. Like I said, they played Brooklyn a really long time ago, and I missed the show for some dumb reason. This sounds excellent. This is probably going to be absolutely one of the best records of the year. I've not been blown away by a lot of records this year. I don't know. I mean, I've been very kind of picky and choosy, but this vinyl has been pre-ordered, so I'm very excited.
I pre-ordered my hoodie and my T-shirt. I have been thoroughly impressed by this. I enjoyed the previous album, but this has caught me in a way that Worship the Eternal Darkness was never able to. I find the production sounds a little thicker, a little meatier. Just everything about the record so far sounds a lot more muscular. And as I said, I say so far. I actually heard the whole thing on Friday. It is just packed with sick riffs, awesome atmosphere, typical Archgoat brilliance. but I feel like almost everything that's great about this band has been dialed up. And you are absolutely correct. They are going to be playing at the Meadows on the 8th of November. They're also playing, for anybody in the US that wants to see them, November the 6th at Mass Destruction Metal Fest. That's in Atlanta. And then on November the 7th, they're playing at Reggie's in Chicago. And if they survive Chicago, they will be out in
that's like I gotta be honest, sometimes those dates make me nervous. Chicago is nowhere near Brooklyn, so that's a very early flight or very late flight or whatever. So yeah, let's cross those paws, I wouldn't be surprised if there are other dates squeezed in. I mean, like I said, they really, really should play as much here as they can, honestly. A lot of the death and black metal bands on the mid size have just not been here, I feel like, and it kind of sucks. But I'm just really glad that they're coming here. Obviously, none of them have any kind of crazy ass criminal records or anything, but dude, they're big in New York, man. You see a lot of Archgoat shirts. The last show they played here was packed from what I heard. I mean, this show's going to be packed. A lot of people are very excited about it. So, just get on that damn plane, guys. There you go.
Sick. Well, officially, that gets a top-notch recommendation. No question. Yes. We have a couple of questions that have been sent to us. I hope you like that American Ninja 4 teeth that I used for the post.
I did like it.
Jackie, I like you with the nunchucks.
I have frowned upon some of your choices, but this one I liked, I have to say.
I find the cheesiest thing I could possibly find. So like today, and I was thinking what could be, because last time it was Delta Force. So I thought, how do I step it up from there? American Ninja 4 was the one that came to mind.
Excellent.
By the way, I have actually, just as an aside, I made a bit of a 4K Blu-ray purchase today. Got myself Rambo: First Blood.
Oh, nice.
I got The Unforgiven. Anyone who hasn't watched The Unforgiven.
Another 5.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I also got Jaws. I don't own Jaws.
5.5.
I had to get myself that. Got myself the original 1989 Pet Sematary.
Great movie. Saw that in the theater. Yep.
Superb film. And then I got myself the, I think 78 or 79 Amityville Horror. So,
yes, 70. Yes, I think it's 79. I love the OG Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
I've passed by that house a few times when playing Long Island. It's, it's a cool little thing to see. But, dude, okay, so I was a bit of a child of, not divorce, but separation in the early 80s. My parents were separated for a while, and Dad would have to take, 4 of his 5 children to the movies a lot. And I saw First Blood as a 9-year-old in the theater. I had no business seeing that movie probably at 9 in the theater. It's a little intense, I think, but my God, that is a wonderful movie.
Incredible.
I think people kind of forget about it and sleep on just how good that movie is. Stallone is amazing in it. Everyone is kind of like amazing in it. Now I want to watch it again, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. That final scene where, Richard Crenna tells him it's over, John, and he goes,
"It's over, Johnny." I say that all the time.
It's over. Yeah. Very, very good acting from a guy who, generally speaking, does not have his acting celebrated. I personally think nearly as often as it should be.
And thus begun the lifelong obsession with what I refer to as the Rambo knife. Jackie, I've just, it's like 40+ years now. Every time I see a knife like that, I go, I want to have one of those, even though I have no reason to have one of those. And as a kid, like if you had a knife like that, you were the coolest kid on the block, with the Rambo knife.
Nowadays, that sort of thing here in the UK is highly illegal, but in South Africa, getting a Rambo knife for Christmas, that was a rite of passage. All kids got a Rambo knife at some point for Christmas.
Oh my God!
Just imagine kids running around with these 12-inch blades, with playing with it in the back garden and having knife fights. Let's be honest as well.
As I've been keeping up with jolly old England, Rambo knives are the last thing needed if back
Yes.
there. So
Yeah.
yes, we don't need those knives there.
So I mentioned we had a couple of questions come through, and the first one we will discuss today. Metal Shecker sent a question. What is the greatest death metal album, and why is it Deicide's self-titled debut? I have strong feelings on this matter, but I'm gonna let you answer first.
Okay. I gotta be honest, like, he's not wrong. As an adult, I am gravitated now more listening, probably for nostalgic reasons, and probably because, again, my old band got to play with them twice in the beginning of the 90s, and I got to see them all the time in the beginning of the 90s. I'm very gravitated toward the first 4 Deicide records, and particularly the first 3 Deicide records. And Blessed of the Sick, Morbid Angel, it is my favorite. I know Altars gets lauded as the greatest death metal album of all time, blah, 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 blah. But it's not my favorite Morbid Angel record. That doesn't hold true for me. So to say Deicide self-titled is actually a great answer, and on a certain day of the week, I might give you that answer, or Legion, actually. Legion packs this other punch, this other level of just like, I don't know, man, a vibe, and just seriousness that is even more intense and dark than the self-titled. But honestly, anyone who gives that answer is not wrong. You're right. So there you go.
For me, there's no question the first Deicide album is the greatest death metal album of all time. It's a perfect capture of 33 minutes worth of the most testosterone-fueled male rage you can possibly imagine. It is Glenn Benton's best vocal performance by far. It's a precision assault that is so perfectly timed and so rhythmic and so catchy in its own right. And it's then paired with incredible riff upon riff that is memorable, it's catchy, it is extraordinarily aggressive. And then you've got Steve delivering, I think, one of the, it's a very flawed, but it's perfect in its flaws drum performance. And the thing that I truly love about this record is that every single song has its own unique character. You can distinguish it from the track that came before and the track that comes after. I just don't believe that we will ever hear a record like this again at any point in our lifetimes. And you can go through top to bottom.
I hear you.
Not a song that is anything less than 10 out of 10. Lunatic of God's Creation, phenomenal. Sacrificial Suicide, you've got that, the very famous breakdown, the damn to hell, end my life. I mean, just fucking phenomenal. Oblivious to Evil, brilliant. Dead by Dawn, brilliant. Blaspherian, brilliant. You got to go through those songs and you're like, okay, those are 5 perfect death metal tracks. And then the second side is even better. You've got Deicide, which has one of the greatest breaks and one of the greatest riffs in all of death metal. Carnage in the Temple of the Damned is a masterpiece. I'm glad to see they've started wheeling that out again in shows recently. Mephistopheles, I got to see them play that live once, and I mean, it will fucking crush your skull. Day of Darkness, genius, and then Crucifixion, the best possible way to end the best possible death metal album, especially where Glenn is yelling, "Where's my crucifix? I can't die without it." Amazing. Just absolutely fucking amazing. So Metal Shack is 100% correct.
Here's the other thing, though. In my more recent years, I've been really, really fucking with Once Upon a Cross so much that I actually think it's the best sounding Deicide record. And actually, I believe Roadrunner spent and gave them the most money for that recording because of the success of the 2 prior records. And it shows sonically. I think it completely shows that it's a very top-notch, as you would say, recording. And that record has songs that are, to me, are some of death metal's best singles, in my opinion, including Once Upon a Cross. And We Are the Children of the Underworld, bro. Woo! I was listening to that in an Uber the other day, and I'm just thinking to myself, wow, there's like thrash metal like vibes in some of the riffing in that song that I think completely go over people's heads, because honestly, every death metal guy grew up on kind of like early first wave thrash metal, and it's obvious, you know what I'm saying? That was the heaviest thing that they were listening to before a lot of these people literally helped invent death metal. And I feel like there's touches of that in certain Deicide. But that album, to me, just, I don't know. I would pay big money to see them do that whole album front to back.
I do love Once Upon the Cross very much. Same with Legion. It was always, I liked Serpents of the Light, but it was always a massive disappointment to me what happened with the production, because I do agree with you. Sonically, in terms of what packs the most punch, there's no question that Once Upon the Cross is the album. Favorite song of Once Upon the Cross? Behind the Light Thou Shall Rise. The Master, Lord Lucifer, from Behind the Light Thou Shall Rise. I mean, it's just so good. It's just prime Deicide, Glenn sounding fucking badass, and just every single element of the record working in perfect synchronicity.
Serpents is hard as nails, but that production lacks a little bit, and there aren't as many bangers as there are on the first three, but to me it is still a very, very strong, very good record. That is also kind of ripe for revisiting. And that came out at a very weak time for death metal in America, honestly. There was like your Dying Fetuses and your Deeds of Flesh, and like they were kind of like the newer blood, and death metal was just kind of like in a different place. And a lot of the old guard was kind of, I don't know, Entombed and Obituary were kind of doing some weirder shit by the late 90s. To me, one of the leading lights of the late 90s is Angel Corpse. We could do a whole episode on my thoughts on that. But like that record to me is one of the better of the classic bands in the late 90s death metal records, you know?
Yeah. No, it is a very good album. I mean, Bastards of Christ, Blame It on God. There's a lot of very fucking cool songs on that record. Just as an aside on Angel Corpse, have you heard Gene Palabicki's band Hexorcist, who I spoke about last week?
No, I was unaware he started yet another band, so I'm asleep on that.
Strong recommendation, and I believe that you will come back to me and say, wow, Jackie, that is a fucking absolute banger.
I'm sure I will. I like all of his shit.
Yeah, Crucificial Imprecations is the title of the album. The band is Hexorcist. They put it out on Invictus Productions on the 31st of July.
Oh, okay.
Another absolute surefire contender for the year's best. Phenomenal.
Quick question. What separates it from, say, Perdition Temple and Angel Corpse, right off the top of your head? Is there anything that is different?
It has a very strong Angel Corpse vibe. I would just say the violence level. It's such an aggressive album. As soon as I heard it, I was just mesmerized.
Okay. Yeah, Perdition Temple is super duper heavy on the Morbid Angel worship. And particularly the early Morbid Angel. Definitely, of course, hints of Angel Corpse. It's hidden, so it's like I feel like there's never not going to be some Angel Corpse in his shit. But if this band really kind of goes for that, then yeah, I got to hear this.
Yeah, no, you are going to love it. I have no doubt about it. No doubt
Cool.
at all. All right, let us get on to some more music. And if we head over to metalstorm.net, we have got a new track coming out by Swedish death metal veterans Sorcery. Apparently, they have a new album out on October the 1st called The Immaculate Sin. And they have released the first single off that record entitled Shadowborn. Let's hear what that one sounds like. I was about to write that song off, but that breakdown that we just paused on, that's pretty sick.
Okay, these guys are from where?
Sweden.
I think they sound a lot like what Deceased has been doing the last 2 records. Like, this is pretty damn good, actually. Reminds me of Deceased.
Yeah, like as I said, I felt like the first part of the song was relatively serviceable Swedish death metal. But when it changes gears at around the 2-minute mark, that's where it starts to become very interesting. I mean, these guys, they are rightfully, they can rightfully be referred to as veterans. They've been around since 1986. Their first album was called Blood Chilling Tales that came out in 1991. They then disappeared, came back in 2013.
Oh, okay.
Reasonably busy since. So this is actually their 5th official record, The Immaculate Sin.
Oh, J-Dog would call this a We're Back band, though, because
Correct.
I'm sorry, 86. No,
which is the first thing that I thought about when I looked at their discography.
I mean, this is pretty damn good, though. I can't believe I've never, ever, ever heard of this band. But hey, I'm not, I don't have magical powers to hear every band in the world. But no, I definitely didn't hate it.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm blown away by it. I think this style of music, I am much more impressed by the new Horrifier record. The new Horrifier record, by the way, Revelations of Gore, that is out on Personal Records, came out this past weekend. That, to me, in this vein, it's more effective. But no, I don't hate it at all. On the topic of Horrifier, the question is always raised on every single news rant, what are you listening to right now? So, Sheriff Scondotto, what are you listening to at the moment?
Oh, man. I mean, I wish I could tell you guys I've been listening to some new music, but I actually haven't been listening to any new music. Honestly, a lot of Deicide, Disaster. I've been listening to Disaster recently.
No bad thing.
Let's see. Oh, last year, Primordial played New York for the first time in a really long time. That's when I got to meet Alan and signed all my CD sleeves. And they recorded that show. And that show came out on digital not too long ago.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Primordial live in New York City. You could probably hear me as one of the people screaming on the record every 5 minutes. I was really drinking that night and having a time of my life. And the vinyl of that is coming. So I've been listening to the digital of that. I was literally listening to that today, this morning while running errands. So I've been fucking with Primordial a lot, Yeah, I mean, again, nothing too crazy. I mean, also, let's see, some vinyl came in recently. Oh, I got some Revenge records on vinyl. I've been missing for the collection. If I like a band, I like to have every single record. Like like your jaw would drop if you saw just how much vinyl I had. So I've been listening to Revenge and Profanatica, actually. So that's what I've been listening to.
That Primordial set list, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Superb. As Rome Burns, to open things off.
Oh, my God.
You got How It Ends. You've got Gods to the Godless, Bloodied but Unbowed. Victory Has 1,000 Fathers, Defeat Is an Orphan, one of my favorite songs that band ever did. The Coffin Ships. Yeah, what a set list.
Yeah, I think they made it special because they probably knew they were going to put it out, even though I didn't know. And they did Gallows Hymn, bro. So whoever you hear screaming during that, I'm probably one of those, screams, because that's literally one of my favorite songs of all time. And I feel like they hadn't been doing that live. Like I'd seen kind of set lists and like live sets. I mean, they have so many bangers, like, there's only so many songs they could do. And hell, I wish they would come here with more frequency, but if they ever come back, I mean, I'm there the moment the tickets go on sale.
Never a band I've gotten to see live, actually, by the way. I've always missed them for whatever reason, and they're one of my favorite bands. So I do feel like that is one I need to change for sure.
Speaking of live sets, I've successfully missed 2 shows this past week. Midnight played last Sunday, and I was supposed to go, but I was a little worn out from, being at the beach and some drinks. So I did not go to that show. And then last night, Suffocation and Dimmu Borgir and Holder played, and I had a free ticket, and there was this monsoon that came as I was about to leave my house, and I have to walk like a bunch of blocks to the train, and then get on the train and get into Manhattan, and then walk a bunch of blocks to the venue. And I told my friend, I'm 53, I'm not going to a show soaking wet, sorry. So I didn't go. I'm like, I'm not doing this. Mother Nature had other fucking plans. So I missed 2 good shows this week, but there's other shit coming. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to go see a band I don't know if you're familiar with. They were popular in the late 80s, early 90s, Circus of Power. Ever fuck with them?
Oh, yeah, I know the band.
Yes, they have 2 amazing records from like 89 and 90. They're like a New York hard rock band. They're playing in Brooklyn, and I believe I am going to that tomorrow at Lucky 13. And there's definitely other shows coming up I'm going to, but I always get the FOMO when I miss a good show.
I am going to Arctangent, which is a 4-day festival. I'm actually only going for the day, but I'm going with my daughter, so it's going to be her first festival, and we're going to see specifically Chelsea Wolfe, who's headlining that day. Bear with me 10 seconds. I just want to let the dog in. She's making a racket.
Sure.
See you in 2 secs. Yeah, so I think the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza are playing that day. There's a couple of other bands. It's nothing that's, particularly mind-blowing. I am very, very excited about Chelsea Wolfe, though. I'm a big fan, and I've never seen her live before, so I'm looking
Me neither.
that, and definitely looking forward to experiencing that with my daughter as well, because she's also a big fan.
Oh, and next weekend, I'm 98% going to this. Agalock and Profanatica are playing in New York.
Yeah.
I really, really want to see that. That's a very cool combo. To me, that's like two of the most important black metal bands in America. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, of American black metal at 2 ends of the spectrum and 2 different eras. I
was about to say, I couldn't think philosophically of 2 bands that are more poles apart within black metal than those 2.
But here's the thing. The guys in Agalock, I believe they're about my age. I forget which band member I was a Facebook friend of for a while, and we would talk. And when they did this New York signing thing a very long time ago, where they didn't play, but they signed like a reissue of one of their records. I've seen them 3 times, saw them in a snowstorm over 20 years ago. I was up on them immediately, like when the very first LP dropped on CD on the End Records, which was 98, 99. Those guys know what's up with black metal and American black metal and their history, and you know what I'm saying? So in a way it makes a lot of sense, but in a way it doesn't make sense. I almost feel like this is the kind of black metal that Paul doesn't even like, but I bet if Paul sat down with them and like he would like think that they were like the coolest fucking guys, because again, they know what's up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those guys are fucking the real deal, in my opinion.
I actually need to reach out to Paul again and get him on for a second.
He's so great with interviews. Oh my God, he's the best.
when we spoke the last time, that he was saying that he'd definitely be up for a second round, so I should make that happen. Stuff I've been listening to, as you're talking about Holder and you're talking about American black metal, Holder, the new album for Bolgan, I think is superb. Fantastic follow-up to Verses in Oath. And I've been a massive fan of Holder for a very long time anyway. I feel like they're one of those bands that just at the moment can't seem to do any wrong. So the new album comes very, very highly recommended. I'm also checking out, I mentioned it already, Horrorfire, Revelations of Gore, masterpiece. A band out of Barcelona called Spectre, their new album, A Procession of the Dead, is really good. Nice, rough, raw, and ready black metal. And then one that has stuck with me since I discovered it on this very news rant the Mordant Red Lord Humongous split EP. That gets a twice-a-day airing at Into the Necrosphere HQ at an absolute minimum. And in case anybody is a fan of Mordant Red, which, quite frankly, if you're a member of the Legion, you should be, I will be speaking next week to the frontman of Mordant Red. Recorded that about 2 days ago. That was a raucous affair and probably somewhat less serious than some of my recent interviews have been. But Revok is a fucking badass. He's 100% my kind of guy. And we had a awesome conversation. So that's coming up next week.
Yeah, Lord Humongous played a show that I completely was unaware of, and I saw it, parts of it on Instagram. I was like, fuck, because they played the other end of Brooklyn. Mordant Red, it's funny, I remember hearing about them maybe 2 years ago, and I thought that like they had that, that interesting fucking crazy look and sound, and it's kind of cool that they like have some like buzz on them now and like come some steam, because I remember them maybe even a little more than 2 years ago on YouTube. And they just kind of stuck in the back of my head. And then like J-Dog was talking about it, and like, oh shit, that's that band. So, I feel like I might have had them in like my Bandcamp collection from a long time ago. Same thing kind of happened with Lord Humongous, actually. They just found my way into my life, those two bands. And now a lot of people are talking about them. So that's cool.
So I got into Mordant Red because Vincent Crowley, he messaged me and he said, you should check these guys out. They're friends of mine. And I saved it for the news rant, listened to that first single that they brought out on the split EP. And just to remind myself, the single is called Knife Wound Memories. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, this is so fucking up my street. So massively into that. And Lord Humongous, they actually listened to the podcast. And I had noticed that they liked a few posts of mine and stuff. So I very often, if a band, especially a band I don't know, an unsigned band, if I notice they're liking stuff that I'm posting, I'll go check out their music. And I checked it out, and I was like, this is spicy.
Great.
This is 100% up my street.
They're really good. Hopefully I get to see them soon. But yeah, it's funny. Like I have back to Aglock, I have their entire collection on CD. And getting some of their old vinyl is, a lot of that shit is really expensive, but I'm very glad to have all their stuff on CD.
Well, I'll tell you something, brother. I don't know whether or not Justin is planning on doing a Dead by Dog 3, but I do want to come to the States at some point for a metal show. What say you and I do a road trip if there's a Dead by Dog 3 and we go to that next year?
Yeah, we should. I'd be totally down. So I don't know how it did either, because there was a talk on it, but it was only for the people who paid money. Like I thought, I saw it on YouTube. So he hasn't done one for like the general public yet, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, unless it's up now.
Yeah.
But
well, that's why I'm uncertain about what's going on, because I'm the same as you. I don't subscribe. Well, I subscribe to his channel, but I'm not a paid subscriber. So I don't know what the verdict is, whether or not he's going to be doing anything more.
Yeah. I mean, I love J-Dog, but I almost feel like his festivals are 101% just his taste, which may not which may not be the best for a festival. Like if I'm doing a festival, a good chunk of it's going to be for my taste, but not all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like not all of it. You got to spread the wings, I guess, a little. And, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Love J-Dog. Love the fact that he's doing these. But, I feel like that could be a factor, right?
Yeah, possibly. I'll talk to you about something offline, actually.
There you go.
Vis-a-vis fests. But
Gotcha.
Let's, again, we'll stay on the topic of American metal. I hasten to say American black metal because I don't necessarily think these guys really should be called black metal. But there's a new Wayfarer single out, and it features none other than David Eugene Edwards. I don't know if you're a big fan of Woven Hand, but I am. Massively so. Same with 16 Horsepower. So the second I saw this, I was like, I'm saving this for the news rant. Me and the sheriff need to check this out together. So, not standard into the Necrosphere fare, but I will just come out of the gate and say, again, I'm a massive fan of anything David Eugene Edwards lends his hands to. I also really like Wayfarer. I love their previous record, American Gothic. This seems like they've basically gotten rid of whatever vestiges of black metal was still in their sound. Nevertheless, I fucking love it.
Disclosure, I am a Wayfarer fan. I saw them live twice years ago, and was an early on-board supporter. I fell off with them, though, and look, yeah, this isn't black metal at all. I'm wondering if the whole album is like this. If it is, then I actually think that's cool. Like, I always thought their Fields of the Nephilim riff on black metal was great. Like, I'm a tremendous Fields of the Nephilim fan. Tremendous, okay? And I think a lot of people, like, no one really does that good, honestly. Like, to me, they're just Fields of the Nephilim. Like, there's the people that kind of try to do that, it falls flat for me. And when they kind of fucked with that, they did it pretty good. Yeah, I'm wondering about the rest of this record. I have no idea who this guest vocalist guy is. I have no idea who these bands are. So who is this person?
So those two bands I mentioned, how I got into them was through Morgan from Marduk. Years ago, I spoke to him for a phone interview for Chronicles of Chaos. And I asked him, what are you listening to right now? And he said, I'm really into 16 Horsepower and Woven Hand. And I'd never heard them before, but I checked them out. And I mean, if this song you just heard is something that you like,
yes,
then both of those bands are essential listening.
Okay, Woven Hand, I've heard the name, actually. I've heard their name. I've never heard what it sound like, yes.
So the Woven Hand album that I would recommend most highly, I mean, I would suggest you check out all of them, but the one I would probably start with if I were new to Woven Hand is a record that came out in 2014 called Refractory Obdurate. There's a song on there called Salome, which is just a total masterpiece. And then with 16 Horsepower, they put out a record in 1997 called Low Estate. That's probably the one that I would check out first. I would say sonically, this song probably reminds me the most of Low Estate.
Where's it from?
From the US.
Oh, yeah.
And the interesting thing about David Eugene Edwards is that he is a very, very devout Christian, and a very significant chunk of all of his music. And obviously, there's an irony in Morgan from Marduk recommending them to me, and so many other black metal guys I know who really like both bands. But so much of what he sings about is really about spiritual and existential struggle. And it is kind of set in this very dark atmosphere. It's really, really cool. In a weird way, it also, from an atmosphere perspective, it reminds me a bit of the first season of True Detective.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I believe you're aware I'm a Catholic, so I'm full of yes, I'm full of irony and contradictions. One can argue, but yeah, that definitely sounds interesting to me. I do like this kind of stuff. Like, I like kind of like dark, westerny, clean vocal. Like, I'm into all that kind of shit. And yeah, this is really cool. I wonder if the whole record is going to sound like this. That should be interesting.
Well, dude, irrespective of Wayfarer, who does earn a thumbs up without question, I've got a hunch both 16 Horsepower and Woven Hand are going to be your jam. So check it out. I think
hell yes.
I love it. Okay, let's check out another couple of questions. So we've got one from Kelu666. He asks, is your cameo on Werewolves Die For Us a sample of the podcast, or did you do it specially for them? It was a sample. It was taken from a news rant where I was listening to a song by Cataclysm. And I mean, I personally feel like basically everything that Cataclysm did that wasn't the first... Was it 2 EPs?
First 3 records. I'll just say the first 3 releases, honestly.
Yeah, correct. First 3 releases. Everything after that is unlistenable shit. If it's not the Mystical Gate of Reincarnation, Sorcery, or Temple of Courage.
And then there's those first 3 ridiculously good records.
And then after that, they totally fell off. So I was listening to a new Cataclysm song at the time. And the cool story about that is, at least for me, Matt sent me a message And he said, I've just sent you the new Werewolves record. Make sure you listen to the first album, or sorry, first song. You're going to absolutely love it. And then this pops up as a surprise at the end. And yeah, I don't think I've been prouder at any point doing this podcast than I was when I heard that.
That's so great, man. I had the rare privilege of seeing early Cataclysm like 3 or 4 times with the first singer in New York back in the day. They played New York a good couple times. Some of these shows are on YouTube. They played the Wetlands a bunch that had a lot of the black and death metal shows in the 90s. All these shows were booked by an old friend of mine, Tom Pasquale. And man, like I remember when they first played, like that old singer who's, I can't remember his name, dude, he was kind of like really intense and crazy and like real interesting to watch them back then, you know? It was very special, I thought. And what's weird is like what they've become, yet they're still really pretty big here, actually, in America. They play New York, I feel like, often. They tour a lot. So it's like, I don't know, that like their fan base, I think, changed. There's other death metal bands, I have to think, where it's like your first releases are amazing, and then you became like this whole other band that I'm not interested in. You know what I'm saying? Yet you still have a really solid fan base. There has to be other examples in that.
So the original vocalist's name was Sylvain Hood.
Yeah.
It says on Metal Archives he left Cataclysm because his girlfriend at the time left him, triggering an emotional breakdown, which in turn created a lot of tension between Sylvain and the rest of the band. That
he was amazing.
Yeah, I'm about to say that woman ruined a potentially fucking legendary band because first 3 albums magnificent, but beyond that, total dog shit.
Yeah. You know, it's like Lord Worm back in the day, like seeing, you know, I feel, okay, I did see him with the band on that Comeback record. What year was that? They did a tour on that record.
2004, I think. I actually saw them on that tour as well.
Yeah, I saw Lord Worm with them once, but this wasn't the Lord Worm of the early mid-90s where he was like a crazy person on stage. I mean, he was good, you know. I wish I could have seen like the way back Lord Worm. Apparently he was really something in the live setting back then. But yeah, Sylvain was quite a presence. And yeah, it was a really fun time, like seeing them back then. I also saw Anal Cunt a bunch in those days. Anal Cunt would be on these death metal, black metal fests. And just to shake up the whole fucking show, like Seth was like a maniac and like throwing shit and throwing mic stands, and you never knew what he was going to say and do back then. These were really cool shows.
That Lord Worm record you are referring to is Once Was Not.
Once Was Not, yes.
And here's a story about that, which I think I've said before on the podcast. I saw them at the Camden Underworld, and I interviewed Lord Worm. Very nice guy, by the way. And there was just this ominous feeling like things were going to get violent. On like as soon as they came on stage, you could sense it. And I'm sure you've had this before, you know, knowing some of the bands you've seen play live. There are some bands where the tension in the air is just so palpable from the moment they step on stage. And anyway, there was a guy in the audience that was headbanging, and he was bumping the gentleman behind him. And every time he would bump into him, he would turn around and he would throw his hands up, you know, apologetically. But he would just continue to do it, and he did it 2, 3, 4 times. And I was standing up on the balcony at the Underworld, so I could look down at the crowd. And I tapped the shoulder of the person next to me, and I said, "I guarantee you, there's about 1 or 2 more chances for that guy to bump into the dude behind him before things are gonna tear loose." So anyway, bumped into him. This guy grabbed him, pulled his t-shirt over his head, and started uppercutting him. And this guy was literally shrieking like a girl, like, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." He beat the fucking brakes off of him. The show stopped. Lord Worm looked at it, laughed, and just said, "Only 2 songs in and it's already begun." And then they carried on.
That's awesome, man. That's really great.
What a fuck! I mean, it was a fucking insane evening, but yeah, it was just like that. That guy got dealt with, and Lord Worm was just looking at it like, "Yeah, I've been expecting this to happen."
I remember seeing Deicide for the first time. They played Brooklyn in late fall of '92. with Demolition Hammer. They were doing a U.S. tour with them, and Marauder opened up, like original lineup Marauder, and that show had a really crazy vibe. Like this was like peak like controversy Deicide, where like they were getting a lot of write-ups and like all these crazy things about Glenn were being said, and I just remember being so excited to finally see them after listening to them for almost 2 years at that point, from about 90 to 92. And this was when they were touring off of Legion. And that was a really fucking great show.
Well, we're going to be talking about Marauder in just a second, but this is a nice segue into another question. Griff_in sent me a question, says, firstly, I want to pass on my condolences to Mike about Lou. I saw Sick of It All 2 years ago at a hardcore festival, and they were the best band of the day and produced one of the most memorable gigs I've ever been to. When Mike was on recently, he mentioned that there were less newer hardcore bands coming through that were impressive, which I completely agree with. Why do you think there have been fewer exciting hardcore bands since the 90s, whereas black metal seems to go from strength to strength?
All right. I'm almost kind of in the minority when I say that. I think because I am so in the thick of it and so much a part of it and part of it for such a long time, because I have friends who around my age or a little younger who would yell at me for saying that because they think the complete opposite. Hardcore is actually doing extremely well right now, despite me, honestly. I gotta say, I'm very well aware of how well hardcore is doing and how new bands are doing pretty damn good. I just don't like a lot of the music, and I don't like a lot of the vibe of a lot of it. I don't know. I was very privileged to come up in my first show in 1988 with hardcore. I mean, to see the second half of the second wave and be a part of the entire 90s as a fan and a participant, and the entire O's as a fan and a participant. So I'm looking at it from a very different lens. It's interesting that this person, who's probably definitely younger than me, feels the same way though. So that's interesting. But in reality, hardcore is doing very well. I love Terror because I think Terror is the mastermind of Terror is someone my age, bro. Scott is my age, and he comes from the late 80s too, when he was a teenager. So there's probably something there, you know. His hardcore tastes are probably almost the same as mine, if not entirely the same. I've read about his first show's experiences. I mean, it's a very similar story, you know. But the stuff that's right now, I don't know. To me, death and black metal are just more like what I'd like to listen to more these days. When I listen to hardcore, I listen to the older stuff, honestly, because I still really enjoy it. I still enjoy Sick of It All, obviously. I still enjoy Negative Approach. I still enjoy Slapshot. Like, that's my shit, you know. The Revelation stuff. Even like the early, late 80s California stuff. I like all that stuff. Circle Jerks, Black Flag, all those bands. Like, that's my shit. But yeah, the new stuff to me, it just doesn't move me. It's not coming from the same place, I think. And you know what? Maybe it's not supposed to, because I am 53, you know? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I totally agree with you. I'm 46, but I like similar hardcore to you. I think Terror is the best active hardcore band that is in the scene right now. To me, there's no question about that. They haven't released a bad record, and I also really like Scott's previous band, Buried Alive.
Yeah, and Human played with them a couple of times.
Yeah, fucking superb band. I think that there was a band I played to you on a news rant probably 2 years ago called Candy. They are classed as hardcore. I don't know if I necessarily would buy that they should be classed as hardcore, but I do really like their music.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, there's a lot of bands that are so overtly metal that they lack any hardcore. Well, actually, there's one newer band that's really heavy that I love. that I even get shit for loving, and it's Kubla Khan. I actually really like them.
Great.
Because I got to see them before they became the juggernaut that they are. So that's why I like them. And I just love the riffing and the catchiness and the short songs. Like something about them I really like. But some of the hardcore community thinks that they suck and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, but I don't know. I just feel like with newer death and black metal, it just strikes the chord a little more for me. And, it's more exciting, you know. It's kind of been that way for a while, but it's weird because I'm still a very active part of hardcore music, though, you know. So it's kind of strange. And thank you for the condolences on Lou. I mean, I talked about it in on the Necromaniacs podcast, the most recent episode where we talked about Manhunter, and yeah, I mean, I will always love and miss my friend, and he's just this amazing presence in not just my life, but the music world, the hardcore world, and he's just an irreplaceable person. And I offer my condolences to everyone listening who's a Sick of It All fan. It is a huge loss, but Sick of It All and Lou will live forever.
No question. All right, so let's move on to a band that I wouldn't say came from the hardcore scene, but it was certainly associated with the hardcore scene because Tommy Victor spent a lot of time at CBGB's.
Yes.
The band is Prong, and they are about to put out a new album. It'll be self-titled. It comes out on November the 6th, and they've got a brand new track from that record called The Banner. I'm going to stop there because the song is only 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I've got some strong thoughts on that song.
Dude,
what do you think?
Okay. It's like a hardcore song until it is not. Until that moment comes where it is not. But it's like I don't know, it sounds really different. And he's almost like talk screaming. Like, yeah. Right? But it actually almost sounded like a modern metallic fast hardcore song for that whole beginning. Am I crazy?
No,
and then it just completely becomes something else.
So let me just again, I may have mentioned this a time or two in the past. I don't think you and I have spoken about this though, but Prong will be one of those bands that will always have a very special place in my heart. I got Cleansing when it came out. No one I knew liked the band, but I listened to it at a CD store called Rebel Music. I heard Snap Your Finger, Snap Your Neck, and I was sold. Like, to me, it was, that was just such a fucking incredible song. To this day, if you are anywhere near me when that tune starts playing, watch out. It is also a record that I think captured lightning in a bottle for them because there isn't a bad song on the record. Whose Fist Is This Anyway? fucking phenomenal. Broken Piece, great. One Outnumbered, amazing. Out of This Misery, I mean, what a tune. Then they managed to catch lightning in a bottle again on Rude Awakening. Rude Awakening, top to bottom, to me, is magnificent.
Great title track.
Yeah. And after that, for whatever reason, it has just been, I mean, patchy at best. I don't know what's happened to Tommy Victor creatively, but there'll always be a band that I hold in exceptionally high regard, and I have such high expectations for. And every time a new album is announced, I'm excited because I think, all right, here's the record where they return to form. I've seen them live. Saw them live a couple of years ago, supporting Exodus and Obituary, and they were superb. But that song does not cut the mustard.
So yeah, I was early on board with Prong. I mean, the first matinee I went to when I was 14, he was the guy doing the sound. He did the sound for a lot of the matinees, 88, 89, until Prong got really popular and he was on the road more, I believe. And I mean, I saw Prong in 90 and like, you know, Beg to Differ is just, I feel like Pantera doesn't happen without Beg to Differ. Like, I always thought that I kind of like really liked that record. Like the you know, by the time post Cowboys, you know, because Cowboys comes out the same year as Beg to Differ. And just like that crunchiness and the stop start and just, I don't know, I feel like Prong in a weird way also have a hand in the early new metal too. Although Tommy Victor would probably hate hearing that. But they were like a huge band in New York. They were very big. People really loved them. Hardcore people like them. Metalheads, like thrash metalheads, like them. And yeah, anytime like I DJ like a metal night, I play Snap Your Fingers and everybody likes it. And a lot of people go, who is that? Because they don't know. Either they know the song and they're my age, or they're much younger and they're like, what band is that? Who is that? Because they like it and they never heard a song like that before. But yeah, I mean, I have a feeling this new record will be okay. You know, I mean, I like him in Danzig. He's you know, Danzig's longest running guitarist. You know what I'm saying? He's been in Danzig forever. And I always felt like he fits in well with Glenn. But Prong has, like, I guess, a dedicated fan base, and he gets to put out records and tour. So, you know, the other interesting thing about him is that he ages in reverse. He is not that young, yet he looks much younger than his age. So kudos to that.
Funny you mentioned that, because when I saw them live, I mean, they were playing like young men, and he looked so young behind the microphone. I kind of had to do a double take, and I thought, have they swapped out vocalists? Is Tommy not touring?
He's in his 60s.
What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's unbelievable. So
yeah, well, I mean, whatever he's taking, he's 64.
Yeah, insane.
That is fucking wild. 64.
Yeah, and he's a nice guy too. I've met him a few times. Always nice to say what's up.
I'd love to have him on the show, and unfortunately, I feel like my verdict on the new track is probably going to limit the opportunities for that to happen. But again, this comes from a place of being a genuine Prong diehard and holding out hope that at some point I'm going to hear something that's going to blow my mind in the same way that Cleansing blew my mind.
Yeah, you know, not everybody can repeat the past, and
no,
it's hard to just churn out records, and you know, what are you going to do?
Well, which is why I have so much respect for bands that are able to keep doing it at the highest of high levels so late in their career. You know, we've spoken about Napalm Death many times before, but my God, man, they may be commies, but they know how to turn out a fucking series.
Yeah, exactly. Like they still put out very solid records. Cannibal Corpse still makes very solid records. Yeah. Even though they get a little samey, they're still good. I still buy them. You know, you always kind of know what you're going to get. Yeah, it's fucking great. You know, Obituary. Yeah, still put out very solid records. You know,
solid records and an absolute force on stage.
Yeah.
Right, we got a question from Kostas. He has asked, what are your favorite 5 intro riffs? And I did actually clarify this. I said, Are you talking actual riffs as opposed to intro sequences, i.e. South of Heaven, rather than the intro to, say, Battery? And he says, intro generally, really. As I wrote to you on an email a while back, I think the Nazum track Shadows is on my list as an example. So not while you're mulling that over, because I know I've put you on the spot, I'll give you off the top of my head my top 6 intro riffs, because we count in sixes. We count down in sixes on this podcast. First and foremost, this is cliched, but it has to be said, Freezing Moon by Mayhem. I don't think there is a riff that epitomizes or embodies black metal more succinctly than that riff. Next on the list, Planets Collide by Crowbar. Every fucking Crowbar song is a superb riff, but Planets Collide is magic. South of Heaven by Slayer, total masterpiece. Black Mass by Danzig, mainly because of the impact it had on me when I saw them open with that song live.
That's
the
great.
first time I ever saw Danzig play. It's so fucking cool. There's one that people are going to potentially agree with, potentially disagree with. Some of them are going to roll their eyes and go, fucking Jackie and his obsession with that goddamn band again. King of Sodom and Gomorrah by Wasp. Just so fucking sleazy and so cool. And then we mentioned them earlier, Deicide, Deicide. That opening riff, the da-da-da-da, brilliant. Absolutely fucking peerless.
I don't know if I can just pull 6 out of my ass because I was not prepared for this question. I'm going to give you 2 really good ones, though. Lovelorn Rhapsody by Anathema. You ever hear the beginning of that song?
Yeah.
It literally almost sounds like a mosh part. It's the first track of the first album. It is one of the hardest fucking things ever. And in my head, I always said to myself, if I did like a doomy death metal band, I would start my set with that and extend just that riff just until like fucking 3 minutes just to see what the crowd would do. The very first track off the first Anathema record. It's fucking insane. Another one is The Knell and the World by Dawn, the first song off of the second album. To me, the beginning of that album to this day, since 1998, gives me the actual chills. So does the Anathema track too, actually. I'm just super duper into that shit. What else? Honestly, the kickoff riff of the Emperor self-titled EP. What's the first fucking song on Emperor's Emperor?
Let me double check on that. My Corona.
Like that's my favorite Emperor recording. Yeah. That's
I'm
up
not going to
there.
remember this off the top of my head. So Wrath of the Tyrant. Bear me 1 second.
Like the Emperor and Slade split that is
I'm
now
from the
just
Black
referred to as
Wizards?
Emperor. Yes, yeah. Yep. What else? Let's see, death metal. Honestly, I love how Blessed Are the Sick kicks off.
Oh, yes. I was just about to say Fall from Grace.
Yes.
What a fucking riff.
Fall from Grace. 100%.
Also, Unholy Blasphemies. What a riff.
What else? I gotta give one more. Honestly, I love how the second and my favorite Dismember record, Indecent and Obscene, kicks off. Fleshless. Oh my god. With that just kicks off with it, just like, and he screams and it's just fucking insane. I don't know. I'm very nostalgic for that record, 93. So I got a couple right there.
All right. That does remind me, I think it's high time that you, me, and Mike Hill do another countdown.
Yes.
We did the Thrash countdown last year, and you talking about Dawn just reminded me, we'll do another 666 countdown special. What was our chosen subject going to be last time round?
We're going to say American black metal, which should be interesting.
Okay.
But are we? To me, I almost feel like it would have to be bands. You know what I'm saying? Like your 6 American black metal bands, or are we doing 6 American black metal albums? God, that would be so fucking hard for me.
Well, then we go with albums. Whatever is the hardest for you.
Like Yeah, it's it's funny. There are people out there that kind of literally dismiss American black metal altogether. I've learned, which is very weird on message boards and whatnot. But it's impossible as an American for me to do that. There's just so many bands that are fucking amazing and are extremely important. So,
well, I think let's do albums and let's do top 6. I'll send a message to Sensei Mike Hill and let's make that happen. We have to do at least one a year. We
did black metal though, right? Didn't we did black metal, didn't we? Like 6 black metal bands. I'm almost certain.
Yeah, we did black metal. I can't remember whether we did albums or bands. We did death metal too, and we did thrash. But I like US black metal as a topic. I like it very much. I think it works well. All right, so we will listen to one more song, and then it's off to the Porcelain Bowl of Reckoning. This is a spicy one this week, so stick around for that. Xentrix have launched a brand new track. British thrashers Xentrix have posted a video clip for Allied with the Enemy, the newest single and title track off their forthcoming long player. See what this one sounds like.
Upon the weak, powerless as seem to be, under duress. Cooperation is self-defeat. Scream and you're dead. You tear the world apart. If only this was a dream. Subject of fragility, born out ability. The slaughter is wrapping up under siege. Shields before you're paralyzed. What's your need? Before you realize you're allied with the enemy. Bodies in the walls, abused environments, affliction hangs with the heaviness. Surrogate now and soon to be, full to the neck. Your doom will get the weight off your chest. Soon to be dead. The balance torn apart. No choice on venting the spleen. Evolution by design. Control or genocide. The body count is up. Hell unleashed. Shields before you're paralyzed. What's your need? Before you realize you're allied with the enemy.
I'm going to throw this out there. That song takes a steamy piss on anything I've heard of the new Anthrax album, and also anything I've heard of the forthcoming Forbidden album. Xentrix are not a band that were ever considered to be in the league of either of those two bands. Their debut album, Shattered Existence, is great. But fucking hell, I think that's got some sack to it, as Jane.
That is kind of thrash with sack. It is actually.
Yeah.
It's. But here's the thing: Xentrix are a band who I've known the name, I don't know, since '89 or whatever. But they have literally completely eluded me. I've never owned a record. I've never seen them live. I've never paid that much attention to them. That's just on me. But that's not bad at all. That is not bad at all. The vocals are cool. It's thrash with sack. It's not, pizza party. It's fucking, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. Nice groove, great riffing, like the vocals. If you want to check out an album of theirs that is probably the best entry point into their discography, their 1990 album For Whose Advantage. That is a good one.
And it's weird you said about the Anthrax. Now, I heard the first 2 singles and the second one with the black metal-esque bizarreness to it that delves into crappiness. I've not heard the new song, but somebody said the new song delves into like emo, and I'm like, wait, what is this record? Like, is it like all over the place or something? Like, does it delve into emo, or am I crazy that I heard that?
I haven't heard it
or
yet.
screamo or something. I don't know. That's what I read.
I to be honest with you, I didn't bother listening to it. So the first two songs I already thought were nonsense. Like I said when we listened to that first single, I respect what Belladonna is able to do at his age with his vocals.
Yeah, I
But
thought the
beyond
first one was
that,
okay.
It's like, yeah, beyond that, I'm just like, this isn't for me.
I'm gonna give it a listen. I feel like the last Megadeth should have been something better. I didn't really like the recording, like the fake drum sound and whatever. It had some good riffs here and there, but for a final album, it should be better. If this is probably going to be Anthrax's last album, which it is obviously, I think it is going to be, I hope it's better than what I've heard. I mean, I want to give it like a full listen, you know? Yeah, I mean, be interesting if these are the last records of these bands and say Metallica turns out one final record that is subpar, and then like ultimately like Repentless is the best final record of the big four. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
And even though Repentless to a lot of people isn't that great, I still think it's pretty damn good because, you know, I'm a Slayer guy. So it would be interesting if their final record is the most true to what the band was all about.
I would say about Repentless, it has got one incredibly good song, and that is When the Stillness Comes.
That is
I
a good
really
song,
like that
yes.
track, and I've seen them play it live. It really, really works well live too. But I stand by my view on Slayer that basically you could take everything from Divine Intervention onwards. So Diabolus in Musica, God Hates Us All, Christ Illusion, A World Painted Blood, and Repentless, and you might be able to pull together a really good full-length record out of those albums. But there is so much throwaway dog shit on all of those records. It's unbelievable.
See, I actually include Divine as one of the top notches. So,
Well, yeah, no, I do as well.
I include Divine. Divine to me,
should
it's great.
clarify.
It's a great record.
Divine Intervention to me is an excellent album. I love it.
I don't know. You're being a little harsh for me as the big Slayer person. I would even go as far as to say you could cobble a great double record out of the last 4 albums. How about that? You know? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Without Hanneman, it's rough. It's a little rough, you know,
Right.
but there's some shining stars though. Without him, I think some really good songs, but without him, they were never quite the same.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. All right, my man. Time for everybody listening to buckle up because we're about to head into spicy territory. This is the Swirly of the Week. When did the music scene become so fucking fragile? Now, for those who haven't kept up with the story, ahead of Marauder's London show that took place this past, I think, Thursday night, a couple of controversial social media posts, mostly reposts of other content, it should be added, associated with Jorge Rosado from Marauder began circulating around the interwebs, prompting the promoter, Real Life Presents, to withdraw from the show and publicly distance themselves from Rosado. Now, the show itself wasn't cancelled. It went ahead, as I understand it. It was very successful. But, as you would imagine, the controversy escalated when Rosado himself responded with a very lengthy and extremely combative video in which he denied being racist or transphobic. He attacked his critics. He addressed the various allegations being made against him, including the old dredged-up controversy surrounding Marauder's cover of a old Screwdriver song, and what might otherwise have been a relatively obscure bit of hardcore scene drama subsequently turned into something a lot bigger, which is why we're talking about it today. So, like many of you, I was watching this situation unfold, and honestly, the thing that struck me aren't the things that Jorge posted or that he said. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, some of it I think is just stupid. What struck me is that, you know, basically, people have lost their minds because somebody expressed an opinion, and it made me think, back to my original question, when did the music scene become so fucking fragile that anytime somebody colors outside the extremely narrow ideological lines that a certain section of the scene has drawn, that the immediate response is to declare that person persona non grata? Because I personally, and Mike, you're going to have a perspective on this, but that is not what I remember music being about. If you go through the history of rock, punk, metal, it is absolutely littered with people who were outrageous, obnoxious, offensive, self-destructive, politically incorrect, antisocial, or just plain fucking weird. Sid Vicious assaulted photographers. He was pumping enough heroin into himself to kill an elephant, and he was implicated in the death of Nancy Spurgeon, and yet nobody has decided that the Sex Pistols need to be removed from the musical history books. Ozzy Osbourne bit the head off a bat. He's and that is amongst a laundry list of absolutely fucking insane behavior that can be attributed to him. And yet somehow people still manage to put Blizzard of Oz on their turntables. Millions of people mourned him when he died. Donita Sparks from L7 threw a freshly used tampon at the audience in Reading and got applauded for it. And that is before we get into the countless musicians who have spent the last 50 years saying things that would make somebody on Reddit spontaneously combust. And here's the important distinction, and then I'm going to pause so you can tell me your thoughts on it. I'm not saying that we should excuse criminal behavior or genuinely reprehensible conduct. If somebody commits a crime, if they abuse somebody, if they exploit people, if they do something genuinely vile, then by all means, we should judge them for it. Those are just consequences that go along with actions. But if we've arrived at the point where somebody reposting something on Instagram is so offensive that it triggers a moral panic, then I think we have lost the plot.
Here's the thing. I think the sensitivity began a little before COVID. Before, I would say. But during and post-COVID, like, everybody lost their minds. I feel like, I don't know, particularly in like the heavier end of the spectrum musical world, the sensitivity level just reached peak sensitivity and offended by everything, and everyone has to fit into your worldview and your opinion, and if they don't, then crucify on social media. A friend of mine pointed out, like, if you're just learning about like Marauder now or about Jorge now, yet you claim to be a Marauder fan, where have you been? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you, like, you know what I'm saying? This is really, come on. Like, the guy just speaks his mind. That's just who he is. He's always spoken his mind. Always spoken his mind. For as long as I've known him. But the thing is this, just disagreeing isn't enough anymore. It's not enough. You must be burned at the stake. You must be burned alive. Disagreeing, unfollowing, or unfriending, not enough. It's weird. There was another thing that happened with, I believe, a British promoter with Sheer Terror, where Paul Bearer, the singer, messaged the promoter wondering why they were playing the basement of a club. And that's like, he asked the question, why have we been relegated to the basement? And that promoter lost his ever-loving mind and blew that whole thing up. I don't know if you saw that too. Didn't have as much lightning as this one did, but that happened this week as well. And Paul spoke about it and was just like, what the fuck? Like, and then that show got canceled because Paul was like, why are we playing the basement? Paul is also extremely outspoken, total personality. Again, you know who he is if you're a remote fan of Sheer Terror. Just like if you follow Marauder, you should know who Jorge is. But yeah, that promoter had a meltdown in Hissy Fit too. It's gotta be, I would love to know the ages of these promoters, bro. I have no idea how old they are. I have no idea how long they've been in the scene. I have no idea how long they've been fans of these bands. Something tells me it might not be that long, although I could be wrong. But yes, the sensitivity level is ridiculous. And these things are completely blown out of proportion, I think.
I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine a while back, and he is about as straight-laced and black and white in his thinking as you can possibly imagine. And we were talking about the personalities in the scene, and he basically made a quip to the effect of, I wish people could be more like X. And I said to him, dude, one of the things about art and about this music scene in particular is that by its very nature, it is going to attract characters. People that have extreme personalities. I don't think you can make music in this scene and create the art that a lot of the people have made in the scene without being quite an extreme character. Like, to me, that's almost the point. What you can't do as a fan is you can't go into a club and expect that every single person on stage has the same worldview as you. I mean, I frankly don't think that you could do that in life. I have a lot of friends, or certainly people that I consider to be friends, that think wildly differently from me on a great many things, but I don't write off and devalue their friendship or devalue them as human beings just because we don't see eye to eye. Now, as far as Jorge is concerned, you don't have to agree with him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to listen to Marauder. But the idea that somebody reposting something that you don't like on Instagram should result in this enormous fucking meltdown with promoters scrambling to distance themselves, Reddit turning into the fucking Hague, that to me really says something about the current state of the scene, a lot more so than it does Jorge Rosado. So,
and honestly, like, to what the person asked about why I'm not so jazzed on the modern hardcore scene. Gee, I don't know. This doesn't happen it does happen, as we know, and has been talked about it on this show, in the Death and Black Now scene all that much. It really happens way more in hardcore, where there's just a lot more people that I think are more of that punk, modern, mindset. And it's a lot of younger people. That's the other thing. It's a lot of younger people that grew up way different than people who came up in the late 80s and early 90s. It's so different, bro. It's night and day. It definitely comes down to an age thing and when you came around and how you grew up. And, I am close to this. I've known Jorge for so long, and he's a good friend of mine. But what I'll say, again, is really, it's just about, like, know who you're, like, how do you not know certain things about a band or a personality that you're supposed to be, like, a fan of? Like, I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird. And if you don't like it, well, then don't listen to it. You don't have to fucking burn him at the stake. If you don't like things he says, they could have been quietly removed from a show or whatever by an email or whatever. Or fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't have to turn into this, but of course it did because it's 2026. And just disagreeing and not like wanting to be a part of something isn't enough anymore, bro. You know that. You've been fucking crucified for like nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just not enough. The good thing is that ultimately Marauder will continue. They'll play shows and life will go on, and that's that. But like the meltdowns of people are just really, that's on them, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to do you, again, and I think it does turn off people to like the modern scenes, like these types of things. But yeah, that's what I got.
Well, what I would say in closing here is I feel like people have forgotten, they've lost the ability to look at somebody on stage, go, I don't agree with you. Now let's hear the next song. The fact that there is such a vocal group of these people, these crotch sniffers that, fucking skulk around online, I think ultimately it will, at best, it'll stifle creativity. It'll hurt the heavy music scene. And that is why every single one of those turds need to be frog marched to the porcelain bowl of reckoning and face perhaps the ultimate penalty. And that, my friends, is the Swirly of the Week. All right, Sheriff, we are done with yet another, I thought, thoroughly enjoyable news rant. Thank you very much for coming on, my man.
I have to say, although J-Dog would not approve of your shirt, that is a very cool Pantera shirt. I have to say, it's
I
nice.
like it very much. I actually thought you might notice. Thank you very much. But
that's a cool one. I don't think I've ever seen one like that before with a particular design.
Well, The Great Southern Trendkill is an album I really love, and when I saw this on the EMP website, I thought I have to have this. I've always loved the album, but Mike Hill actually mentioned it on Necromaniacs. He was saying like, he's got a real soft spot for the record. And I said, man, I haven't listened to that one in a while. Normally, it's Far Beyond Driven and it's Vulgar Display of Power, but the Great Southern Trendkill has got some fucking rages on it.
Yeah, I like logo shirts. And I saw that Incantation is selling this particular one on their website. I'm like, fuck yeah. Like I have a bunch of Immolation ones and Cannibal Corpse ones. Like bands that have really good logos should have just logo shirts. I'm in search of the Impaled Nazarene logo. Just the logo. Like a lot of their shirts are a bit much too busy, whatever. Years ago, I had one, a long sleeve. Okay, that I cut the sleeves off of, being back said industrial punk, cyber, sado metal. That shirt is long gone. So I'm like looking for one with either the red or the white Impaled Nazarene logo. Any listeners out there, if you can grab me one, please message me. I will send you the money.
I am sure I've seen a couple floating around. If I see one, I'll let you know. I laughed when you said a lot of them are too busy. A lot of them are just not something that you can wear out in polite society. That's the problem.
Yes. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, yeah, they don't have like a US like web store, and I've said this before, neither does Marduk. Marduk, I wish had some kind of like American store selling their shit, because a lot of their shirts are really nice. They're very good with their merch. And as an aside, you talked about Slayer before. My God, their merch is so bad. Just look, you go to the Slayer website, the official Slayer web store. Oh my God, their shirts are just not good, and it breaks my heart because I love Slayer.
Yeah. Well, dude, thank you very much for your time. I want to say thank you very much to PG from Groza. Thank you massively to Necrozorns. Thank you to every single one of you for sticking around until the very end. We are going to wrap up with a fucking treasure that I dug out of the archives back in 2005. Another guy I consider a friend, Spellgoth from Horner. He put out an album with a band called Black Death Ritual called Profound Echoes of the End. From that record, this is Desolate and Dead. As I always say, whatever it is that you are up to right now, wherever it is that you are heading, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.
Cheers.